Welcome back to another episode of Creating Trance with Reason. Today we're going to talk about synthesizers. The three specific ones are Thor, Subtractor, and Maelstrom. You'll see here I've already set up a bunch of effects in there, but I've bypassed a few of them first. We will get into them later. On the Thor, I do have a sidechain set up, which we'll be bringing in a little bit later, and you'll see why. I already have a little bit of a track set up with a couple automations, but we're going to add a few as well. This just saves us time. Let's take a listen to the Thor instrument. Notice it comes in really slowly. This is called a high attack technique. I'm also using it in conjunction with the mod wheel opening up, which is also set up to another filter. So there's a filter that's slowly opening up, as well as a high attack, which slows down the initial punch. You'll see in here that they've been turned up. Most envelopes work the same way, and in trance you normally deal with mostly the attack and sometimes the release. You'll notice in the automations when I go into the chords here, the attack is a lot lower, so it punches in a lot quicker. Techniques like this allow you to use one instrument for many different parts of the track. And then the side chain comes in. And it kind of starts over again, but with a few different automations. Notice how it's also using the mod wheel, like I was saying before. Let's take a listen to the Subtractor instrument. I have a few different effects already set up in here just to bring it out a little bit more. Notice how the filter is slowly opening on this instrument. I think we can make this a little bit more dynamic. I've already added an RV7 digital reverb, but I don't know if reverb's what we need for this. Most synthesizers have a lot of different settings in there that you can play with. And in the amp envelope, there are always a lot of different envelopes, but if you play with the amp envelope, you're normally going to get the result that you want. Notice how I'm slowing down the attack just a little bit, removing the punch just a tiny bit. Let's add a delay here. They normally come turned all the way to wet, which means full delay. We'll turn it down a little bit so it stays in rhythm. That sounds a little cooler. Let it keep opening up here with the bigger loop section. This is the echo, a little more advanced delay effects. and I've set it on the dubstep PP roller template, which you can roll into a delay that will, for the most part, sustain. Let's take a listen to the Maelstrom instrument I've set up. Notice I have 3 different effects in there. Let's add a little bit of reverb automation. This always sounds really cool. Pitch bending is also something you'd want to use with certain synths. It always just sounds really cool sitting behind other instruments. Always a good progressive technique. You can always change the pitch blend range, which is always right above the pitch wheel in the synthesizer, and you can automate that as well. Sometimes moving 1 step is fun, but sometimes 24 whole steps is also a lot of fun. Let's add a little bit more reverb to this sound, and I'll set it back into the room a little bit more. Phasers are a lot of fun too. They're kind of a rhythmic band pass filter with a couple more parameters that you can play with. You can modulate at a certain rate, synced or not synced. Phasers work with a lot of different things. Also, they work well on crash cymbals. If you sync the rate properly, sometimes that's also a really cool effect. A chorus is pretty cool. It kind of adds a duplicate as well as modulation parameters, just like the phaser. But it adds a duplicate and it almost sends it out of tune as if there are 2 there right next to each other. Lots of crazy things you can do. Automating knobs like this make for good transitions, especially if you're using like an overdrive, such as a Scream plugin on top of something like this. Let's take another listen to the Subtractor Instrument and try and bring it out a little bit more. Using the Scream effects, I've cut the high end down, and you'll find yourself always playing with these types of settings inside of your effects. Only because through mixing and mastering, you're going to find certain things sound better when you've done things to other instruments. Again, the rolling delay is a lot of fun to play with, especially if you're holding it out. A lot of producers use this when they go into different sections of the song. Holds, pauses, drops, crescendos, decrescendos. Let's put an Alligator filter gate in here. This is kind of a rhythmic gate effect. We'll bring up some of the low bands. Notice all the rhythm settings on the left. There's a lot to play with. You just have to find what sounds right for you. Let's go back to the Thor Instrument and turn this pulverizer on. This is kind of like a screen processor, but it dumps white and pink noise into your mix and pretty much squashes it together. It can make for some really good crunchy sounds. Let's add a Thor filter automation here to kind of close it up as it drops down. Still pretty rough in the pulverizer, but we'll get this automation finished first. That sounds a lot better. That pulverizer is still pretty loud. We'll take this delay out. We're not going to use a delay on this one. Yeah, the pulverizer will probably need to be turned down. Always check your mixer channels though first. Let's pull the squash down and the dirt. It's getting better. Now it's starting to sound like some form of music. You can probably draw the rolling delay out a little longer. Yeah, that feedback, that's coming just from the pulverizer instrument. Let me add a little kick in here. Get this all set up. Bring it down in the mixer channel. We'll add a filter, set up some automation. Ah, that's a nice sounding kick. Also bring the side chain back, let it set in a little earlier, a little bit slower progression. I'll get the kick set up and let's see what this all sounds like together. As you can see, there's only 3 instruments that are really doing a lot of work here. It's just that they have a lot of plugins on them. All of the effects really do make a difference. I think we're going to have to add a bass synth. Let's close all these up here, stay organized. We'll use the NNXT Advanced Sampler. The NN19 and NNXT are pretty similar. I think the NNXT is a little bit newer. Comes with a lot of great bass synths. We'll get one set up with a filter and get it painted in with a really basic synth bass line. There's a lot of good templates in here. It's just all about finding the one that sounds good for you. There we go. Notice that I already have the filter turned down, so this sound will evolve a little bit as I open the filter up. We'll get this set up on the rest of the track. Following the key progression. Checking my scale. Let's get some filter automation drawn in here. Get the mixer level set and let's take a listen. The delays really make a difference on a lot of the smaller blip synths, where you'll have more of the melody in. So we covered delay, rolling delay, filters, which I'm always using. You've seen me use those in a few previous episodes. Envelope control inside of a synthesizer, mod wheel, pitch bending, the scream effects, which is like an overdrive, the Alligator gate filter, the chorus, phaser, and the pulverizer. It's just all about picking what sounds right to you. It's a good basic outline for a track that can be built out. Thanks again for joining us.